welcome to this session hosted by Amazon Saheli. As we all know, International Women's Day is coming up, and today we are thrilled to be joined by Priyanka Gill, who would be drawing from her extraordinary journey and guiding emerging women entrepreneurs in a speed mentoring format. At Amazon, we are committed to supporting the success of women entrepreneurs across India through our dedicated program, Amazon Saheli, that offers various launch support and discoverability benefits. This session is a part of our ongoing celebration of International Women's Day 2022. This year, with the theme of Expect the Unexpected, we at Amazon India are celebrating women who have overcome hurdles and biases to achieve what is all too often unexpected of them, that is, thriving as entrepreneurs and business leaders. So without further ado, it's such a privilege to introduce Priyanka Gill. Priyanka is the co-founder of Good Glam Group and founder and CEO of PopXO Plixo. In 2014, Priyanka founded PopXO, a content-led digital community for women in India. Today, there are over 88 million active users across platforms. In 2017, she launched Plixo, an influencer management platform, which has now onboarded over 200,000 influencers. In 2020, PopXO Plixo merged with MyGlam, a large beauty conglomerate, and Priyanka joined MyGlam as co-founder. September 2021 saw the formation of the Good Glam Group with Priyanka as co-founder. And in November of the same year, Good Glam Group entered the coveted Unicorn Club. Recently, in January 2022, Priyanka led the launch of the Good Creator Co., India's largest creator ecosystem. Welcome, Priyanka.
Such a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me today at Amazon Saheli.
Priyanka, thank you so much for joining us today. Priyanka, you've had such a fascinating journey, had so many accomplishments, created so much impact. Today, since we're on the topic of women in business who overcome challenges and break the bias throughout their entrepreneurial journeys, if I may ask, what were some major challenges that you faced early in your entrepreneurial journey to script your expect the unexpected moments?
So, I think whenever we are having conversations like this, it's very important to acknowledge your privilege, right? All of us, most of us come from very good educational backgrounds. We come from spaces of privilege that a lot of women in India actually don't come from. And I think it's even more remarkable when women who don't come from privilege, they actually manage to make successes of themselves, right? And we see that in a lot of our entrepreneurs who are on the Amazon platform and the Amazon ecosystem, and they really are the true success stories. So I think these conversations for me are always predicated by that acknowledgement, right? I come from a space of great privilege. And of course, which is not to nullify any of the accomplishments that I proudly say I've done, but just to kind of say that, right? But having said that, being a female entrepreneur is hard, right? It just is hard, and there's no way of getting around that. You can't sugarcoat it. That is just reality. Women founders don't raise as much funds as male founders do. They find it harder to raise funds. Even when they do raise funds, they raise lesser funds than the male counterparts. And it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle, right? So you raised your Series A. It's not as much as you wanted, but it's just enough to get you going. By the time you come to your Series B, your yardstick is the same, right? But you haven't done as much because you weren't funded properly in the beginning. It kind of becomes a self-perpetuating cycle that we kind of enter. So I think right now there's a lot of great work being done by everyone across the ecosystem, from investors to the incubators, to all kind of other kind of companies out there to really correct this imbalance and give women a level playing field and literally like break the bias, which is a theme of International Women's Day for all of us. So I think a lot of that is happening right now. For me personally, look, I've been through that. I understand the struggle. And even though kind of maybe it was a bit easier for me in different ways because of my privilege, but it's still hard, right? So, it's true, it's real. And what I just like to kind of tell women is the first trick is to start. A lot of people just don't start. So I think the first trick is to start, but then once you've started, just don't stop, right? So as long as you kind of, both those conditions hold, at some point you will succeed, right? So having that tenacity, having that resilience, and having that starting and never stopping attitude, I think that is the key to kind of us succeeding. For me, I've been doing this for 10 years now, right? And it's only literally over in the past kind of 18 months, 2 years or so, when I can really feel that, oh my God, thank God it's all worked out. But for the first 8 years, we just struggled, right? Things were going up, things were going down, things were working, things were crashing. Investors were pulling out. We were running out of money many, many times. So all of that is part and parcel of being an entrepreneur, right? This idea of starting and never stopping, I think that for me is key.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Priyanka. And hats off to you and all the women in business who are rising above the challenges and breaking the bias to expect the unexpected. Priyanka, also, you did mention your advice for women entrepreneurs, but I'm sure you've also had very valuable mentors in your entrepreneurial journey. So I wanted to understand, what is some of the best advice that you have received that has shaped you as an entrepreneur?
So, I think I like to think of, literally they are called angels for a reason, right? So you have people who come and help you for that very specific time when you're going through a particular problem. And at that time, they literally are your North Star. So I think the idea is for you to be open to advice. First, ask for advice. I think entrepreneurs generally don't ask for advice. Women entrepreneurs notoriously don't ask for advice because we don't like being seen as vulnerable. We are fighting against all this kind of internal self-talk that we give ourselves. If I ask this question, maybe they think I don't know the answer, and then they're going to think less of me, right? So this idea of asking for help, asking for advice is a great thing. If you just go and ask for it, it comes to you. So over the years, I learned to open myself a lot more and also show some level of vulnerability, right? Again, as female leaders, we find it very hard to show that. We are taught to behave like men, quote unquote, in a certain way, which doesn't allow for us to be vulnerable publicly. I think but if you're able to do that, it's a great kind of superpower to have. So over the years, whenever there'd be a stress point or there'd be a crisis moment, I turned to kind of my different advisors, whoever was appropriate at that time. And it really come through for me, right? So Vani Kola, for example, she was one of the earliest investors in PopXO, and she was on my board for the longest time. And she was always that one rock I had, that kind of this person on my side who always had my back, was always in my corner. And so many times she said, listen, Priyanka, just forget it. If they're not giving you the money, I'll give you the money. Having that confidence as an entrepreneur just made you take the bigger bets, because I knew that she'd be there in my corner backing me. And I can't even put a value to kind of that level of support and what confidence it gives you. Like the other people like Rajan Anandan, for example, he was one of my first angel investors. And kind of just by sheer value of talking about PopXO in the right places, in the big forums, he just gave us this kind of outsized platform that allowed us to kind of exist and be, right? So you have all these kind of different people who come across, your journey in different ways. And the idea is to recognize them and, of course, thank them, acknowledge them, and really, cherish and reverse mentor your relationship with them. They're all relationships that have to be maintained and kept and nourished, right? So, I think that's one of your core responsibilities as an entrepreneur, being able to do that really well, because it's very lonely to be an entrepreneur, and you have to find and build your own support system, because if you don't do that, nobody else will. Right? And that's, again, to all kind of our entrepreneurs here in the room and all the entrepreneurs who are going to listen to this at some point, is that, self-care is the best thing you can do. And the best form of self-care is finding that support system that's going to see you through.
Thanks, Priyanka. That was so wonderful to hear. I think what you mentioned is very relatable to a lot of women in business. Thanks for sharing that. And I know that you're also making time out of everything that you're doing to mentor women entrepreneurs especially. So that's incredible. So Priyanka, in the session today, we are joined by 4 other inspiring women who are building successful brands themselves. I'd love to welcome them on screen. They are Anshita Mehrotra, founder of Fix My Curls, Prithika Mehta, founder of SockSoho, Amrita Bhatia, co-founder of Auravedic, and Purvi Roy, co-founder of Arista Vault. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So each of our 4 panelists is navigating their own growth journeys, and they have interesting real-life questions for you, Priyanka, to understand your perspective on them, learn from your vast experience, and make the road a little easier to navigate. We'll do this in a Q&A format. Shall we get started?
Of course. And hi, guys. Very nice to meet you all, and congratulations for taking the step and coming this far.
You. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, getting into the speed mentoring now. First, Priyanka, Anshita has a question for you. Over to you, Anshita.
Hi. So I'm Anshita. I am the founder of Fix My Curls. We are a curly and wavy hair care brand. So we make products for people with naturally curly and wavy hair to help them embrace their hair. And I guess some of the questions that I have for you in regards to like product development would be, what insights or data would you recommend looking at when developing new products? And how should one think about developing new products in the beauty space? And lastly, considering how fast-paced trends are in today's world and the surge in moving towards sustainable and organic products is currently there, would it be wise to rely on these trends for product development?
Hey, hi, Anshita. Listen, I really relate to what you do because I actually have intensely curly hair. I mean, I was teased with Maggie Noodle curls when I was younger, and I'm blow dried right now. But if I were to wash it naturally, I have kind of very curly hair. And finding products for curly hair is hard, right?
It's
so I think that is so. Many congratulations for coming up. It's actually a very niche, interesting problem. But in Indian women, it's a very large problem, right? Either curls is great, but the problem is frizz. And I think the problem, the products that solve for curl actually do solve for frizz as well.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great insight that we talk about. Look, product development is a very specific thing, right? And especially when you're doing it in a niche, it's a smaller or a niche market just like yours. So I think the first thing is to be really close to your consumer, being able to identify that list of your super consumers who you can talk to all the time, run all your ideas by, understand from them exactly what they want. What do they think of the formulation of the formula? Are they finding it easy to use? Are you talking about it in the right way? So I think that kind of is the beginning of that conversation, is the beginning of all kind of NPD discussions that you're going to have, right? And once based on a really true insight that you start developing a product, the idea is to constantly go back to your test group and have conversations with them, right? And really building that product in an iterative fashion over a period of time with kind of those core customers who really speak for that product. That's extremely important. And at the Good Glam Group, we actually do that in two ways, right? We do that in the way I just described. Second is we do it through data and conversations, because we have access to PopXO and other kind of large kind of content platforms that allow us to converse with our user in different ways and give us sort of data back. While you might not have that, but you have Instagram. Instagram is a great two-way tool. So if you are able to nurture and build those communities of women who are interested in your product, they actually become your champions. They become your first users. They become your first testers. So when you're looking at your NPD process, go to them, find them, go to them, and really kind of build those relationships with them, that they are the first champions for your product, especially for something like, also like I found your name very interesting. And when I was given the list, I thought about that, right? Fix My Curls almost makes it sound like curls are a problem. And I have a very complicated relationship with my curly hair. So I kind of get that. But it's also love your curls, So I think there's something in a marketing fashion where instead of making it a problem to be fixed, it's something to be embraced, right? So I think that, just as a thought to leave with you, that might be something you might find interesting.
Yeah, thank you
so again, congratulations, love the product. I'm going to try and find this. I'm going to use it. I'm always in search for great products for curly hair.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that.
Thanks for that, Anshita. That was a great question. And thank you so much, Priyanka, for your thoughts. We have Prithika next. Prithika, your question, please.
Hi, Priyanka. Prithika this side. I'm the founder of SockSoho. We are a designer sock brand for men, and we make the world's most comfortable socks. So my question for you is, what are the key points to keep in mind while scaling a brand? Scaling can be painful sometimes. So how to know when to pull back out of certain areas?
So, I think, again, love SockSoho. And I've always felt that there's this whole class of unbranded products that all of us buy on a regular basis. And for some reason, they're not branded, right? Like socks. Like you never go and ask for a brand name of socks. You just go and say, "Bhaiya, socks de do," or you just go and order socks. You don't go and look for like socks from a brand perspective. And I think it's a great thing to brand because it's so easy kind of, and unit economics on socks actually once you get the mold right. And I've tried making socks in the past. Previously in PopXO, we used to try making consumer products. And socks was one, and I can't even tell you how many times you try to get the sock right. It's really hard to get the sock right, by the way. So congratulations on that you managed to kind of make this into a viable business. And Mike, actually, I had it's socks for men. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Or is it for socks for men and women?
Currently, we are doing socks only for men because, majority of 70% of men wear socks every day compared to 5% of women.
Okay, great. But again, I mean, what we had discovered was, at least for the PopXO audience, fun socks that says, different messages on the feet of the socks and kind of fun branded theme socks. The audience was really asking for that, right? And we actually have some data somewhere that tells us how much the audience really wanted fun socks to wear, because it kind of, it's an inexpensive item that you can just add to your wardrobe. It adds color, life, and kind of a point of view to your wardrobe. And it really helps you do that, right? So I think there might be something for you to look at women as a TG. It might not be very large in terms of a ratio for men to women, but that's the entire market, right? If you started building products that women use more than men, you'll be limited to very few categories, right? It's mostly most products are used by men. So just kind of a thought there. Your question was what scale and growth, right? For me, I always look at this for that inflection point. When something is working and you really know something is working from a numerical basis, then you double and triple down, right? Then you go all in, you push the boat out, and you kind of just make sure that you're milking everything you can out of that moment, right? Because it doesn't happen often. And the vice versa holds true as well. So imagine you've tried an experiment and you're not getting the results that you think it should be. And the idea is to know when to stop, right? Otherwise, experiments become very, very expensive, especially when you're scaling for growth. And if you don't have the right metrics in place and you start scaling, you're basically going to be wasting money. And we see that day in and day out with people, who spend a bomb in trying to get you to download the app. But after that, the app itself doesn't work. It's not kind of engaging. It doesn't retain you as a user. So they spend all this money in trying to get you on as a user, and then suddenly you don't want to do it anymore after the first install. That same principle holds true when you're scaling a product as well, right? So imagine that you have the product market fit right, and you kind of have the ingredients in place. You know in your gut that, okay, this is working right now. Push the boat out and don't stop. Don't take half measures. Don't be conservative at that point, because that's the moment to push, right? But the trick as an entrepreneur is to recognize that moment really well and back it up with data. And don't let your gut or intuition be the trigger that tells you to push, right? If you go with gut and intuition, there's a very high probability that you will lose money, right? So back your gut and intuition with data. If the numbers are saying that this is working, then go and scale it all up. If you don't reach that moment, keep iterating till you reach that moment. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Prithika. Next, we have Amrita. Amrita, over to you.
Hi, Priyanka. First of all, thank you for doing this. It's been lovely. And I'm Amrita from Auravedic. We are an Ayurvedic skincare brand. As an entrepreneur who has broken all barriers of self-doubt, what you spoke about privilege, yes, I agree with you. But there's something which we women have, which is self-doubt, and we need to erase that. Auravedic is committed to making women more embracing of themselves and feel beautiful. So that's about our company. Now, my question to you was that for a bootstrap company, how does one prioritize the capital utilization when we are aiming for scale? Is it marketing to increase channels, customer base, innovation, processes, operations, or invest in talent? And also, what do you think is the right time to look for funding? Are there any boxes that one needs to check to say, okay, this is where my company is investor ready now?
So, again, that's a very broad question. And of course, without looking at a lot of parameters and data, I actually can't give you a very direct answer to that question. But what I can give you is a framework of thinking, right, that allows you to think in a certain way. And it's something that you could consider. So one of the first and early things that every startup ideally should be able to do with a lean team and not before wasting too much money is getting to a product market fit, right? And product market fit, I'm not saying across a whole kind of bunch of SKUs, right? You just kind of, even if you find that one product that's working, right? If you, or maybe a couple of a small assortment of products where you found that product market fit, that is important, right? And that is the power of a platform like Amazon that allows for micro entrepreneurs and early entrepreneurs to really kind of find scale. Because what Amazon has done very beautifully is it solved the discovery funnel for you, right? So you don't have to go and look for millions of users. Millions of users are already on Amazon. You just have to make your product attractive to them, right? And your product becomes attractive when it has the right product market fit, right? But it's, I mean, for example, it is a cream, or it's an Ayurvedic cream that stops, or a hair oil that stops falling hair, for example. If it really, truly does stop falling hair, people will talk about it, right? And immediately your market will develop. So I think for me, that very important trigger, especially when you're looking at beauty and personal care brands, is, does it solve the problem? And does it solve the problem well? If it does that, then everything else is a function of just optimizing, right? Imagine that you have a product that's kind of solving a hair fall problem, right? It's a huge problem in India. Some of the largest brands that Amazon itself has built have been kind of onion and hair fall kind of shampoos and oils and stuff like that. Once you have it, then you look at everything else. Okay, now I've done it. Is my branding right? Is my marketing right? Do I have the right marketing kind of plan in place? Do I have the kind of the right supply chain in place? So all of those things, again, as I said, Amazon does solve for you as well. So for me, I just look at product market fit as the first trigger. Once you've gotten that, then you can start optimizing everything else that basically kind of comes forward. But before that, you start investing in team or you start investing in anything else, it's just premature, right? So that probably is not the correct thing to do in most cases. That's one. Second question yours was when to look for investment. Look, in my experience, especially when you're building a DTC brand or a niche DTC brand, as what you are doing right now, it's very easy for, I've seen, and we've acquired a whole bunch of such brands, that we've seen a whole bunch of brands like this scale really well on marketplaces, right? Without taking on any external investment, without anything else. So by the time they come to an acquisition stage, it's the entrepreneur or the owner is pretty much a sole owner of the brand, and it's usually a profitable brand by that time. And then there's a lot of kind of value to be kind of gained by the entrepreneur for that. So I think in my personal opinion, and again, I'm got all the caveats that come with that, right? That's just one person's opinion. Please take it for what you will. I really do feel that because of all the tools and technologies available to us right now, and platforms available to us, it's very easy for the right entrepreneur to build out the right product and really find an audience for it and scale it up to a point where it becomes very interesting to other kind of larger players, maybe, right? If that's your ambition. So I wouldn't personally be too hasty in getting investors in till I really needed it. For example, that you've really maxed out all your marketing channels, you max out everything else, you're really optimized, now you really want to scale, then go get money, then you'll be able to justify the reason why you're getting money. But for a DTC product, I wouldn't go out and raise funds just to develop the product, right?
Sure.
Because products are so inexpensive these days to develop. Unless, of course, you're building a very niche, cosmeceutical, I don't know, some doctor-led skincare line that might be expensive. But most products are actually quite inexpensive to develop. So get that right first, maximize everything you have, push it out as much as you can. And then for a DTC product, go at the last one and say, hey guys, I need investment. I'm doing really well. I'm doing so much in sales. I'm profitable right now. These are my unit economics. And let's put money in this. We'll get the best terms at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you. The final question would be from Purvi. Your question, please, Purvi.
Yeah. Hi, Priyanka, and it is so nice and privileged to talk to you. PopXO is something which I have been reading since so long, and recommendations of PopXO. And I'm coming up with the different niche of product, which is a tech product. So we are making a smart wallet for men and women, and this wallet is an anti-loss, anti-theft, anti-phishing, anti-skimming wallet, which will also save your phone and save your mobile. So save your mobile and wallet, cards, cash, everything. So coming with that background, so we have a tech product, hardware done by us, and product designing done by us, and the software part also. So all through the innovative product, and now the demand just started in the market, and now we are in a growing stage, like a scaling stage, where we are getting demand like more than 3,000 products per month. We are starting getting the demand. Now we are taking it to global market. So my question is, when it comes to fashion accessories like this innovative tech product, which is utility based and also a fashion accessory, what should be the streamlined approach to expand its market, to create the moat in the market? It's a patent pending product. So with this kind of patented tech product, what should be the streamlined approach to create the moat in the market? And in the scaling up stage, so we have been through so many suggestions that you should go with the sales or a branding. So what should be our approach to create the market awareness or a branding and the expenditure share in the market awareness and the branding, or to expand the sales channel and distribution network?
Sorry, hi, nice to meet you. I'm just trying to understand your question. Are you saying that should you invest in building out a sales team or building out a marketing channel? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So what should be the expenditure share? Like in the sales, it should be inclined towards, or in the branding to create the more.
See, look, again, I think, honestly, guys, to all of you, because actually, there are not too many truths in entrepreneurship, right? I think the branding and the look and feel of the product is a matter of market fit, product market fit, right? So that I assume because you're scaling, you already have that, right? So if you don't have that, then I think maybe you should look at that first before you do any investments anywhere else. I think the other thing is, if you're calling it a fashion accessory, is it truly a fashion accessory? Is it something influencers would use? Is it something that looks pretty on Instagram? That should be a big question in your mind, right? If you really want it to become large and kind of really gain a lot of scale, you have to position it correctly, right? Like, for example, you started off by describing a product as a technology product, this and that, and then at the very end, you mentioned it's a fashion accessory. Now, frankly, for the user, when I am a user in the market, I'm trying to buy something, I want to buy something, especially a wallet, it has to be attractive, right? It has to be something that kind of speaks to my fashion sense as well. So I would really kind of suggest kind of finessing your proposition out to hit the right note, right? It's a tech-enabled fashion accessory, right? It's in the simple words, it's kind of that. Then it allows for kind of all the kind of deterrents that you basically kind of spoke about. So yeah, I would just say, look, if you're sure that you have look and feel of the product right, if there's enough demand for that, right? And you also mentioned a moat. So honestly, if you have, it might be a patent pending product, but there are other products like that out there in the market, right? I think I do, and again, this is again my intuition or my gut feel. I don't know if it could be right or wrong, but the look of the product is very important. So if you actually manage to make it look like a pure fashion accessory with utility built in, I think that is something like, wow, if given the choice, why won't I buy that, right? And if you really have the technology, I'd even look for collaborations with kind of the leading kind of accessory players out there. Because it's not up to you. You're not a fashion person. You're a tech person, right? There are other fashion designers out there who'd love to design safe wallets, right? And really kind of making that into a very strong proposition for the user is actually quite interesting. You could do that, right? You could literally go to, I don't know, Shivan and Narration, say, hey, hey guys, why don't you design the wallet cover for me or whatever it is, right? So I think look at it kind of more from a lifestyle, fashion, accessory kind of prism, much more than you are right now. Make sure that the look and feel of the product is absolutely right. Once you have that, numbers will just tell you which way to go, right? Should you be investing in sales or should you be investing in whatever else that you're thinking of? So on that decision, be guided by numbers. But before that, just make sure that you're positioning the product in an easy, understandable way for the audience and you're really kind of pitching it right. Yeah?
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshita, Prithika, Amrita, and Purvi for joining us for this interaction. It's been a really enriching session. And Priyanka, it was so good to hear your thoughts. To capture this moment, can we all have a group picture, please? If everybody can come on screen and perhaps pilot your camera for 2-3 seconds. Thank you. Thank you so much. Priyanka, we are so grateful for you, grateful to you for making time for this session. I know I'm leaving this session very energized and inspired, and I'm sure this was helpful not only for the entrepreneurs in this panel, but across the country as well. Would you have any final words that you'd like to share before we close the session?
Oh, just the first thing that I said when I started, congratulations, you guys have come really far. And I think all 4 products that you're building are very, very interesting. And I actually do see large markets for all of them. So you guys are onto something. So please do kind of carry on and continue. I'm on Instagram and on other kind of channels and etc. Please do find me, ping me, whatever. I'm on LinkedIn. So yeah, I would love to kind of, if I can help anymore, to reach out. And thank you so much. Happy Women's Day. And
Happy Women's Day.
Seeing you all do extremely well in the future.
Wish you all a very happy International Women's Day in advance. That concludes this fantastic mentoring session. Thank you once again. It's been a pleasure hosting all of you, and we will be rooting for you to achieve even greater heights. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.